Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. If you're returning, welcome back. PhoenixRising, Alchemical Tarot. Alright y'all, so today I want to talk about fear. Let's talk about fear, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things fear can bring. Y'all remember that song? Alright, I'm done. I'm so done. Alright, so I want to talk about fear and some actionable steps to transmute that energy, and also pull a couple cards from the tarot. I thought because it's Saturday, I kept hearing this song, you know that song, Oh Saturday Sun, I met someone out on the West Coast. I gotta get back, I can't let this go. Whoa. Okay, anyway, I won't sing. But it reminded, that song was in my head, so I was inspired to use my Radiant Tarot deck. Radiant Tarot, which is one of my favorite decks because it has the sun on the back and the Hierophant on the front. And I thought, how fun will it be, since we're talking about fear, how fun will it be to pull a couple cards from our ether creatures? Ether creatures. And then I'll pull a couple cards or a card, whatever comes out, from our inner child oracle. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. I don't have a lot of time today because I'm trying to get out there in these streets. You see, it's bright, it's sunny. Actually, it's not sunny. It looks more sunny than it is because I have great windows, great lighting, but it's actually kind of gloomy out. But that's fine. Who cares? We like all the weathers. So, let's talk about fear. What is it? Fear, false evidence appearing real. So there's so many different kinds of fear. It could show up in so many different ways, show up when we least expect it. But one thing that's certain is that it's never welcomed. It's not something that we enjoy, but you know, it is a part of our makeup and a part of our life, and there's actually a sacredness to it, because it presents itself as a challenge to overcome and to alchemize. So, I mean, it shows up for a reason, and also to protect us in certain situations. But what we often find ourselves in is the vibrational frequency of fear in situations where we don't necessarily need to be afraid. So, and fear can either be a huge motivating catalyst to overcoming something, doing something, or it could be debilitating and have some hindrances there. So we're gonna talk a little bit about the spectrum of that, some of the things in between, and some actionable steps on how to alchemize fear and regulate your nervous system so that you can operate from a much more empowered state of ease and more open to experiencing joy and happiness and connecting with the higher vibrational frequency, and being closer to your higher self and your most authentic self. So that's the purpose and the point of wanting to transmute fear. And also that's the whole point of wanting to talk about it too. I think it's because it occupies so much of everyone's lives. It's worth discussing. So I wrote down just a few key things. I didn't prepare anything. Again, I want to kind of channel, see what comes out, pull a couple cards, to see what messages we have in there, and then wrap it up. So without delay. What types of fears are there? You know, some fears we've come in here with, some fears ancestral, some rooted in that we've developed throughout our childhood. There's also societal things that are happening in the society that can be fearful, and then you know there's the collective fear that we're able to tap into if we allow ourselves the energy of the collective fear. A lot of that is spread usually by some of our, you know, the media that we listen to, news sources, and depending on what company we keep and what we're feeding our mind, what movies, games, shows, what we're feeding our mind really. So are we perpetuating the energy of fear, or are we taking a conscious effort to reprogramming our minds and what we input into ourselves, what we're intaking on a daily basis? So there's the source of certain fears. So for example, ancestral fear that you may have come in with, those that can look a little, that could be a little bit more deep-seated and hidden and harder to recognize and reveal. So it may take a little bit more conscious effort in recognizing. One thing that is recognizable though is, well, when you practice, it could take practice tuning into that when you're in a state of fear. And because there's different octaves to it, there's a different range of levels of fear. Sometimes it can be misdiagnosed, you know, but as something else. But really, there's fear and there's love. So also recognizing that fear is not something that to be avoided, or it's something to be looked at as a part of life, something to use to your advantage and as a catalyst for growth and change, and really challenging yourself to overcome fear and take conscious effort too in regulating your nervous system, recognizing when you're in a state of fear and you don't actually need to be. For example, just based off of a conversation with somebody, maybe with a coworker. I use coworkers as an example a lot because they're in just enough close proximity where you deal with them on a day-to-day basis, so they're close enough to be in your life on a day-to-day basis, like a relationship, but not close enough to be considered intimate, really. So may not necessarily be your friends outside of work, for example. So I like to use coworkers. But say, for example, you're having a difficult conversation with your coworker, or somebody says something that triggers you, and all of a sudden you're in a tizzy, and in a downward spiral. So stopping that in its tracks, first of all, recognizing why you're triggered and determining, okay, is it because of a projection, or is it because of some truth to what was said to you that you need to figure out, work out, and, you know, change, or is it something that you need to accept or let go of? So determining what, and to do that, you have to be consciously aware. This is all about being hyper present and in the now, and taking accountability for your how you show up, your actions, your reactions, your responses. If you respond, if it doesn't warrant a response, you know, it's just not being so reactive. And this was kind of this was touched on in the last video that was about relationships, but it's relevant very much so here as well. So it's recognizing, though, really taking accountability for how you show up and not being so reactive. So it's not something to be avoided. It's something that's a part of life. It's a tool. It's something to use to your advantage for your spiritual development and growth as a person. So what are some things we can do to alchemize? Well, first off, how does it show up? How does it show up in our body and wreak havoc on our nervous system? How can it wreak havoc on our nervous system? Well, first off, it can send you into, it can flood your body with hormones that send you into a fight or flight response, which those hormones could cause wreak all kind of havoc on your body. They could show up any too much of anything is problematic for your system. So when you're flooded with a constant an influx of a hormone that can show up as disease and problems within your system, your bodily systems. So and create disease. So that's something you don't want to do. So fear can absolutely manifest as a physical ailment, other than in addition to symptoms like physical symptoms like overall nervousness, accelerated heartbeat, sweating, clammy hands and feet. What else? Did I write anything down? I did write stuff down. Tightness in your chest. Often you can deal with tightness in your chest too when you're dealing with grief. For the longest time, when I was going through the healing process, when I lost my husband, I noticed that I would forget to breathe. I would find myself holding my breath, just holding my breath and not breathing, allowing everything to flow freely and naturally. You should be able to do that with your breath. And so you may notice tightness in your chest or labored breathing, not breathing is fluidly and consistently. Tension in your neck and shoulders. I still struggle with upper back and neck pain, but all of these physical ailments have to do with different types of emotions and energies that you're hanging on to. That's all related to energy within you and your body. We're energetic beings. So any discomforts that you're feeling, it all has to do with, well, not all, but it mainly has to do with stuff that's being energetically stored. So, of course, there's the exception of, oh, well, I'm sore because I was working out and moving and stretching my body, or, I strained myself doing this or that. Again, it's a result of something, but fear and emotions can be trapped in your body as energetic ailments. That's it. We won't complicate it anymore. But also, you could feel it in your gut, your stomach. That feeling. Listen to your gut, or what's your gut instinct. That's really a thing. So you may feel it in your stomach as butterflies or tightness or constipation or just an overall uneasiness and a feeling of tension and tightness. It could show up like that. Clenching your jaw, grinding your teeth. Those are all Those are all characteristics. Feeling knots in your stomach, if I didn't already say that. So why? What are some, well, let's start off with what are some things you can do to alchemize fear? Well, first off, I want to recommend a book. Gosh, I can't remember the author, but the name of the book is called Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and it's all small stuff. It's probably about that thick, and it's a really fast read, but I swear, I read it many years ago, but I still reference it, and I still remember it, and it's in the back of my mind all the time when I find something bothering me, or something that seems important in the moment, but you know it's not going to be important tomorrow or a week from now, or even however long, you know. And that's something to ask yourself too when you're dealing with a challenging situation. Okay, well, is this gonna matter in a year from now, or however, attach any time frame to it. Is it gonna matter tomorrow? Even, is it gonna matter in an hour from now? Ask yourself that, like, in the grand scheme of things, how important is this? And when I think of grand scheme, I think of life threatening, or threatening to your livelihood. Not just your life, but maybe your livelihood as well. For example, if you're dealing with slander, or somebody trying to deliberately destroy you or hurt your character in any way. So, and even those things, it's depending on the level of deceit or somebody trying to sabotage you. Even that, to a certain extent, doesn't have any control over you. We're all divinely guided and protected. Your guides have more hands, are able to help more hands-on when you ask for help because of free will. But you do have guidance, and there's also karmic justice. So, you know, not everybody can get away with just doing terrible things all the time and getting away with it. It will karmically balance itself out. That person will receive karmic justice. You don't even need to worry about it. You don't need to be the one to perform it. You can remove yourself. So is it a situation where you can just remove yourself entirely and not worry about it? Or is it something where you absolutely need to defend yourself? And that's a thing too, you know, there's knowing when to discern when you need to absolutely defend yourself. Like, don't let anyone disrespect you. Don't let anyone disrespect you or take your kindness for weakness, because chances are, especially if you're on the spiritual path, people are going to test you. For one, you're triggering people left and right because you're shining a light inadvertently on their wounds and unhealed states of being. And so we're mirrors to each other. So you're going to deal with a lot of projections, people's fears being projected onto you, people's pain being projected onto you. They say, you know, hurt people hurt people. So, you know, just being mindful of that, and not be a victim of circumstance or a victim of somebody else's projections. However, standing your ground like the Seven of Wands, and having your own back when you need to. Don't let anyone walk over you or disrespect you, because there's an energetic boundary there too that should be set. And it's like, it's not a tit for tat type deal, but at the same time, stand up for yourself when you need to. So, but always show kindness and respect to others. So that way, when you do have to defend yourself and come out of character, you truly are coming out of character to defend yourself. It's not really coming out of character at all. It's standing up. So, having that level of discernment, if it's something that you should address or ignore, does it warrant your response or not? Sometimes it just takes having a higher level of consciousness to recognize, okay, this person is projecting, or they're acting out of a state of fear, or they're just operating from a lower state of consciousness. And in that case, why not just protect your peace? If it doesn't affect you in any way or another personally, or your livelihood, ask, does it affect my livelihood or my life? Or yeah, my livelihood or my life. So ask yourself those things first. If the relationships are important enough to you, then ask yourself, okay, well, are you crossing a boundary? And are you crossing a boundary that can't be uncrossed? And then go from there and how you would deal with that. So then there's recognizing fears of actually doing something that you would want to do, like want to try. So many times we have so many missed opportunities, and we're closed off. We have less opportunities because we're not willing to open ourselves up to possibilities and taking risks. And even if it's not a risk, it may just be a perceived risk. Coming out of our comfort zone, just something as minor as doing something out of your normal day-to-day routine could be perceived by your subconscious as something to fear because it's the unknown, or it's uncharted territory, or how will you be perceived? Just little things like that. And it's like, okay, well, does that matter? How people perceive you, is that any of your business? Does that matter? So kind of maybe it may take some reframing and practice too. You can't be a people pleaser your whole life, or concerned about the opinions of others your whole life and then turn it around the next day. It's a practice and a muscle you may need to strengthen, but it does get easier. My motto is, I don't give a gosh darn. And when people hear me say that, they may misunderstand what I mean by that. When I say that, I don't mean that I don't care about people. I care deeply about everyone. I care deeply about people, how I show up, how I treat people, how people are affected by my energy. I care about that. But what I don't care about is what somebody's opinion is of me. I'm not going to allow, and there's a certain extent to that too. Yes, everyone wants to be liked and loved, but at the same time, I'm not for everybody. I know that. I'm not for everybody, and not everybody's for me either. And I'm very selective that way too. You don't want everybody in your life. Not everybody is going to be is good for you in your life, and it's okay to cut cords and let people go and make adjustments as needed, even when it's family. If someone's not supporting you, especially on this spiritual path in your growth of development, if you're not being supported, or somebody's trying to keep you in a state, an outdated version of yourself, because that's what they're comfortable with. That version of you is what they're comfortable with, because that's the aspect of you that they know. Nobody truly knows you except yourself, or the people who are closest to you in your everyday life, like maybe your relationship or your children. But nobody really knows you. They know what you show them. They know they know aspects of you. So don't let anyone keep you or put you, label you, or keep you in an outdated version of yourself. We should be constantly changing and transforming and growing. That's the whole point of us being here. And if you're not growing and changing, then you may as well consider yourself already dead, because you're no longer living, or you've accepted the path that you're already on, and that there's nothing more. And in that case, then you've already forgotten your purpose for being here. well, we've all forgotten. Once we've incarnated, we go through the veil of forgetfulness. But what I mean by that is you're no longer seeking. You're no longer seeking or trying to develop, or you've lost your way, you've lost your path as a soul. So when you stop learning and growing, you're dead. That's how you die. Even when you die, you don't die. Your energy just transforms into another alchemical state. We are immortal, we're eternal, our souls are eternal. So, with that being said, we're gonna try to wrap this up too. I gotta get out of here, but and we still have cards to pull. But let's get into the some more actionable steps. You know, we talked about reframing, but you already know I'm gonna say move your body. We have already discussed why I'm always gonna advocate moving your body, because again, we're energetic beings, and our emotions, our fears and our emotions can get trapped in different areas of our body. We can hold on to energy that can translate later into physical ailments and disease. So moving your body is absolutely imperative for everything, for all our levels and areas of health. Also journaling out, and we've talked about this before too, but journaling out your feelings and your fears, your concerns, is absolutely imperative, because it helps you to recognize it, recognize it, and then identify it, and then you could deal with it however you choose to deal with it. But if you don't even know it's there, it's still unconscious. So journaling and writing it out could bring that unconscious fear to the surface so that you can deal with it. Also stretching and shaking, like actual shaking. I don't want to shake right now, but in body and brain practice, we do body tapping all over your body, and also brainwave vibration, where you actually, preferably you would want some music on, something tribal. I like tribal, but it could be anything really, and you move your body, shake your body. Or you can just actually dance, do something fun, move your body however you want to do those things. So, and then breathing, like taking slow, deliberate breaths, 3 on the inhale, 3 on the exhale. So like 3 seconds inhaling slowly, 3 seconds exhaling slowly, and do that repeatedly until you regulate your nervous system. That's a really quick and easy way to regulate your nervous system. And also some of the meditations that I've mentioned in previous videos on clearing and balancing your chakras, your energetic centers. If you have a block in any particular chakra, it could manifest in fears and discord energy in certain ways, depending on which chakra. So it'll be worth looking into that if you don't know anything about the chakras. There's a link in my bio for my book on chakras, if you want to check that out, or just search how to meditate or balance and clear your chakras. There's tons of information. So moving right along, I want to pull some cards for you guys before we get any more. Let me just make sure I'm not forgetting anything else. Our actionable steps. Yep. Okay. So we're gonna get into the tarot. We're gonna pull some cards from our Radiant Tarot. All right. So we're gonna ask the cards, what fears is the collective dealing with and needing to overcome? Hold on. Sorry. I feel like this is so crooked. All right, we're going to ask what fears is the collective dealing with and needing to overcome. Okay, Spirit. With the energy for the greatest good of all. What advice, what guidance can you give the collective? Fears is the collective dealing with and needing to overcome. Ooh, okay. So, 3 cards. We've got, of course, it's swords, y'all. Of course, it's swords, all up in the head. It's all mental. The first card that came out is the King of Swords. We have great lighting today. Okay, so the King of Swords. So with the King of Swords, though, showing up as a challenge question, as the answer to a challenge question, I'm going to read it in reverse. But in the upright, the King of Swords is intellectual. He's fair, disciplined. He's kind of cold, though, kind of cold and aloof. So in the challenged position, you guys could be dealing with issues of self-discipline, needing to be more self-disciplined or discerning. The King of Swords is also about mental discernment. So maybe needing to have better discernment of what your triggers are, what bothers you, what scares you, what you need to overcome, how to categorize these fears, acknowledge them so you can deal with them, realize where you're holding yourself back or giving your power away. What else? Allowing imbalanced or unfair situations to keep you trapped, or again, giving your power away. Like, where are you needing to call your power back to you and use better discernment? So that's our King of Swords. We also got the Five of Swords, again, mental. And the fives, the fives are all about challenge, but change. However, the Five of Swords, it's a card of deception, trickery. It could be self-sabotage. So Five of Swords could, it's already a challenging card, so I don't need to really read it in the reverse. It's already telling you what it is, and it's upright. But I look at it in this scenario, not necessarily deceit, but getting in your own way, being your own block, or again, giving your power away and letting other people get in your way and block you. So that's one of the challenges of the Five of Swords. Let me see if there's anything else, though, because there's other stuff in it too. Yeah, battling addiction, and healing. So some of y'all may be dealing with some darker, heavier, denser energies like addiction, dealing with addictions, or self-medicating, numbing, and those are all things in response to fear. Even if you're taking medication supposedly for health, again, I'm not a doctor, I'm not giving you medical advice. Use common sense and your own discernment, but to what I'm saying, take it how it resonates. But But even if you're taking medication for health, if you think about it, in how fear manifests physically on your body, in your body, as ailments and disease and physical attributes, then it could be also attributed to your health problems. So therefore, medications and self-medicating, numbing, and addictions. All right, so there's that. And then the third card, y'all, the devil. Spirit don't play. The devil. Okay, so the devil in tarot is not your big baddie devil like in the Bible, or even like how this guy looks. This is just cute. That's just cute. No, but the devil represents attachments and addictions again. Addictions and obsession. It's not on this card. Okay, so in the traditional Rider-Waite, though, the devil, it's the opposite of the lover. So in the depiction of it, you have the devil and then you have the two lovers chained at the ankle to the pillar of the devil, and it's being controlled and manipulated with unhealthy attachments to person, places, and things, and that could include addictions. So the devil coming up is the card of toxicity. Toxicity and fear. So there's only a few major arcana fear-based cards, and the devil is one of the main ones. So it's perfectly aligned that this would come out. The devil comes out when you're dealing with addictions, obsessions, attachments, toxic relationships, toxic situations and scenarios, contracts, new contracts, karmic contracts, or you could just be dealing with a Capricorn. Take it how it resonates. So that's our tarot. I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time on our tarot because I've got to get out of here. All right, so now I'm gonna pull from our ether creatures. What ether creatures are in the collective? What messages do we have here for our collective for the highest level? Thank you, Spirit. What ether creatures? Okay, so I don't know about y'all, but when I was a child, I was scared of everything. I was exposed to Freddy Krueger, Nightmare on Elm Street at a very young age. I think I was like 6 or 7. I was like 7. And, I mean, we were loud. I truly survived the 80s. That's children of the 80s who grew up in the 90s. We really did survive. That should be a t-shirt. I survived the 90s. I survived the 80s because we really did raise ourselves. We stayed out till dawn, till dark. You couldn't get in touch with us. We got home when the street lights came on. You couldn't call us. There were no cell phones. Our transportation were our bikes, scooters, feet. Anyway, I was a terrified child. But we're gonna see. If I only knew. I guess maybe I did know. Maybe I subconsciously knew all the creatures in the ether, unseen. All right, there's one. Anything else? Thank you, Spirit. Woo! There's another one. All right, these ones I won't take. I'll just take the one that flipped over. So we got 2 ether creatures. Cool. All right, first one that came out is Iktomi. Iktomi, which is 26, reduces to an 8. Where's my booklet? Oh, there it is. Reduces to an 8. And to me, 8 is a number of transition. It's like, it's like not, because 9 is a number of completion. 8 and 7 is a number of spirituality and manifestation. 8 is like the bridge. And yeah. All right, give me one. Where's my? Give me 1 second. Where is it? You would think I would have pulled it up already. 26. Who knew there were so many ether creatures? I think there's like 70 something in this deck. 77. All right, Iktomi, spider medicine, center point, the weaving of existence, mastery of time, eternity, cause and effect. How appropriate is that? Iktomi is a being that came about thousands of years ago when nature-oriented tribal cultures began to develop the desire to take on the medicine of other animals. It was a desire of many within those cultures to shapeshift and take on the qualities of a certain animal, but without losing their humaneness. This collective belief in and a desire for such spiritual hybridization between man and animal gave rise to many thought forms within the ethers. Iktomi is one of these such beings. Specifically, he is the being that arose from the collective desire for and belief in the ability of a man to possess the medicine of the spider. As such, Iktomi, hold it so you can see it. Iktomi